top of Tim McLoone Supper Club in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Welcome to the Tim McLoone Radio Show, where each week we bring you interesting, creative, and dynamic people from the worlds of entertainment, sports, business, food, and philanthropy. Today's guests are the legendary comedian and performer, Joe Piscopo.
He's here?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
And from the Essex County Mental Health Association, we have Bob Davison.
He's here?
He's also here, right? He's sitting right up here in the front row.
He's funnier than Joe Piscopo.
Yeah. And another really funny guest, sometime comedian and very often the president of our company, Tim McMahon.
Oh, my God.
Welcome, Tim.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Before we get to our first guest here, I do have to say we had a pretty interesting week here in Asbury Park, given that there was a visit by the President of the United States, along with our governor, Chris Christie. And we'll be talking about that in a few moments. But I have to tell you, we try to tie up some loose ends every week when we do the show. And a couple weeks ago, Gary U.S. Bonds was our guest. You know Gary from Quarter to Three and all those great rock and roll songs. And he came out with a book called My Story. And actually, it was supposed to be called My Story, and I'm sticking to it, but it just says My Story. Well, they handed me the book that night. Normally, if I get the book, I'll read it before the show. So I didn't get to read it till I went home. I was really grateful to see that it did have pictures. Always helpful. No coloring section, but did have pictures. But anyway, in the back, the very last picture was from a concert I did with him as recently as last December. And so you see Gary in the middle of the stage. It was the Hope concert at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, and John Bon Jovi was in it. And I'm playing piano behind Gary Bonds, except that I'm off to the left and he cropped me out of the picture. so it's like, well, thanks very much. I'm glad I read your book. But at any rate, the big news here this week was, of course, the visit by the president. We've asked our very own president, Tim McMahon, who's the president of McLoone's Restaurants. So if you have any complaints or if we owe you money, just tmcmahon@mcloons.com gets it done. Tim, I really wanted to hear, I think people would be very interested in the inside workings of preparing to have the President of the United States visit you. So what was the first inkling you had, or what was the first contact you had with the White House?
About 4 days prior, we got an email alerting us to a meeting, and we sat down with the Secret Service, and they began to let us know what was going to happen here. But it was really an evolution. I mean, in the beginning, they created the illusion that there was going to be some working with us, that we would have the opportunity to be open for business, even outside. But as each day progressed, it became pretty obvious that there was one goal in mind, right, and that was to keep the president safe. So right up until morning of, we had an outdoor menu. We had staff for outside. They closed the door on that at about 11 o'clock in the morning.
What I thought was interesting, though, is how, sadly, actually, because there have been assassinations and many attempts and all, how detailed out it is. I thought the most interesting detail was that we had to have our safe open and empty, and which the staff liked, but I'm not sure that it was.
Well, we didn't follow all the instructions to the letter. We got here about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were to open every door, interior, exterior, every safe, open access to everything, and then we were to leave. And we never left. We just kept moving from room to room. We were also supposed to shut the surveillance system down, but we just killed the monitor. So we have some nice footage now of dogs walking through the restaurant, sniffing all about. But the most interesting thing for us, we had a woman, Roseanne, from the beginning. She was our contact. We had her cell phone. She was arranging tickets for us. We won't talk about that. There's no need to go into that.
The fact that I got a ticket and you didn't.
It's not even pertinent to today's conversation.
Why would we talk about that?
But and then when the moment came and the president came out to speak, here's Roseanne, one of his 4 body people that are out there protecting the president. It was pretty amazing because she was interfacing with us the whole week.
Well, it was cool that they allowed 2,500 people to stand online to get tickets, and I thought it was. And unfortunately, it rained, and it was right outside our front door here. The great part, though, was when I arrived and they wouldn't let me in the building. I couldn't come into my own restaurant, and then it's like, how did you know I'm losing money here? You shouldn't be allowed in there because you're incompetent. That's the reason. It has nothing to do with the president. But we did finally come into the building, and it was just to see this crowd. So it was very much like a rock concert in that now people have been sitting out there in the rain for literally 2 hours. It wasn't raining that hard in the beginning, but it got going after a while. So there's 2,500 people with tickets, probably another 500 dignitaries, congressmen, whatever. I include congressmen within the dignitaries.
Sure.
I'm not saying dignitaries and congressmen. But at any rate, it's like if you go to a rock concert and one of the roadies comes up and like taps one of the drums and everyone cheers, it means the show's about to begin. So somebody walks up on the stage and they put like his notes on the lectern and everybody started cheering, like the show's about to begin. And Chris Christie came out and they were doing their tap dance, the old Republican Democratic thing, Right. And Christie was great, though. It was very brief. But I have to say, it was just a surge of, in a sense, patriotism when he said, "It's my pleasure to introduce the President of the United States." Yeah. And they play Hail to the Chief, and he comes up there. It was very moving in that regard. And I think he only spoke for about 10 or 12 minutes, but it was all that, just that, whether you're an Obama fan or not, you have to admire, the literacy of everything and the way he spoke. And it was very much, he referenced the Stone Pony. He didn't say a word about this building. But
of course.
And even though we're jumping up and down holding signs, But Chris Christie has been a great friend to this building lately. He was here for lunch on Sunday, I guess. And but at any rate, the president did his thing, and he told the story on himself of going down to the Point Pleasant Boardwalk. And so, and they had video of it, and they show him there's the thing where you have to throw the football through the moving tire, which almost no one can do anyway. So Obama takes 5 left-handed shots at it, and looks like he never played baseball in his life. He can play basketball, but not football. Didn't come close, and Christie puts it through in the first try. And it was like, oh man, this is New Jersey, isn't it?
That's great. You're supposed to let the head guy win, right?
I think that's what the plan should have been. But anyway, it was a great day for Asbury Park. This city has struggled mightily over the past 30 years, and I think everybody roots for it. And listening to President Obama that afternoon, you really did believe that there was a sincere message coming of that, what they're trying to do is to go to all the places that have just suffered so much this past year and keep going back and letting them know we didn't forget, because that's always the thing, is that you get involved in something and then you move on to the next topic. Something horrific happens in Oklahoma and everybody forgets about this, or forgets about Boston, or forgets about Newtown, or whatever. And unfortunately, we live in a time when there's a lot of stuff going on and we're in a 24-hour news cycle. So it's something new is sadly happening almost every day. Right. But anyway, Tim, thanks for sharing your moment of not getting a ticket to see the president.
Maybe we'll cover that on the next show.
Tim said that he was okay with me being out there and he wasn't there, even though he had done all the work, as long as I didn't actually get to meet the president.
That is a fact.
He said he might have been seen diving off the balcony, not to meet the president, but to get me. So anyway, Tim McMahon.
Broadcasting from Tim McLoone Supper Club in Asbury Park. Listen to us every Saturday at 5 p.m. on WOR 710 a.m. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Tim McLoone Radio. And listen to this show as well as past shows on our website, timmcloonradioshow.com. You're listening to the Tim McLoone Radio Show. Next up, the one and only Joe Piscopo. Welcome back to the Tim McLoone Radio Show from Tim McLoone Supper Club in Asbury Park, New Jersey. We have as a special guest for you, here he is, the one and only Joe Piscopo. Joe, come on up.
Joe!
And now here's your host as well, Tim McLoone. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Mr. McLoone.
Hello, Joseph.
Great to see you. So I'm stuck on 287 for like 4 hours. Can we get it to you? I love the governor.
I'm shocked, by the way, that you could be stuck.
I love President Obama. Move 287, for God's sake. Oh, we got billions coming from Washington. Stop the traffic. There's no tolls. There's no tolls on 287. Why does it stop like that?
And it stops randomly.
You
You could be there on like a Tuesday night at 11 o'clock, and there's backed up traffic. I don't know. The only thing I saw weird in that was years ago. Do you know Mike Breen, the Knick announcer, and he does basketball? I played his wedding way the heck out in Long Island, and it ended at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. So we hung around for a little while. We get in the car around 1:45 on a Saturday night. We get on the Bell Parkway, and it's bumper to bumper.
Bumper to bumper.
Where are you going? Where are all you
But we
people
stay
going?
here, ladies and gentlemen. We stay in New Jersey. I'm talking to my mother. I go, Mom, if you weren't here, I'm telling you what. I probably and people in the thousands move every month because of the traffic. We get but I have to tell you. Can I tell you New Jersey, a typical New Jersey story? So I'm on the driving, and I'm talking to my lawyer on the phone about about you could
Starting off wrong already.
Look, take a pick of a wife, and it was about that. Okay, so it was like. And I'm going, and I'm talking, I'm trying to concentrate on the road, and I got the Bluetooth thing going, but I don't see the little bell go off in the truck. Bing, bing, low fuel.
Oh,
so
jeez.
that goes by me. I'm into the conversation. I'm on 287 again. I spend a lot of time on 287, don't I? And all of a sudden, the car makes this sound. I swear to God, it goes, gung, gung, like that. That's a pretty good impression, too.
That's not bad.
That's a good impression.
I've had that happen in my car. Is this the car show that we're on here?
No, listen,
Right.
listen.
Ray and Tom.
The car runs out of gas. I run out of gas. When's the last time you ran out of gas? So I pull over. Where am I? I'm at exit 10, 287 South. Huge signs. Call OnStar, right? OnStar. So OnStar calls up, goes, hi, how are you? I go, good. I'm stuck here. We'll call Cadillac Roadside. That's great. They said, we're great. Cadillac Roadside calls. And they're always in Canada or some strange place, And they go like that. Oh, we're so happy. We'll come. We'll send somebody to get you. I say, great. And they say, what color is your car? And I said, I'm an Italian guy from New Jersey. Take a guess. She goes like this. Black? I swear to God. And I go, yes, black. And I said, we can't find you on the GPS. I said, if you're in the freaking Ukraine, you could find me. It says exit 10, 287. So what do I got to? Is there any landmark? There's a road. Cadillac. I buy American. And I go off. I said, I buy American. This is what I need. Well, we'll call you right back. They don't call me back. I call OnStar again. This was last week. I go, OnStar, call the Department of Transportation. Just call the guys that drive around in those trucks helping people on the side of the road. And they go, okay, Cadillac, call you back in. So then another guy calls me from Cadillac. Oh, hi, well, we don't give gas around. We don't go running gas to people who... I said, well, you should... You know what? For what I paid for this car, you should hand deliver the gas to me. It's a mistake. I'm sorry. You know who showed up? The Department of Transportation.
Really?
5 minutes. The DOT truck from the state of New Jersey, this guy, and I went, you are unbelievable. I said, can I take a picture, put it on Facebook? He goes, oh, no. Like that. I said, and this, you're not going to believe this. I swear to God, I went like this. Can I tip you something? He said, no, can't take any money.
Wow.
The first time I heard that in the state of New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it was is that wild? The DOT. And you check my Facebook page, I tell you, I loved it. They had the truck. He filled the gas up. I went on my way. Is that unbelievable?
You're upset.
And Cadillac and OnStar are still calling me.
You know what amazed me one time when I coached high school track, and one of the kids locked my car. And I didn't have the keys. And so you've got the code on the side, and if anyone knows me, I have no idea what the code is. I mean, come on. I know you're supposed to put in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something simple. I had no idea. I'm still mesmerized, though. I ended up calling my wife, who's in the back of the room here, actually, applauding for herself.
The lovely Beth McLoone.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're in the back of the room. You get a round of applause.
We don't get that up here, Beth.
This gig is easy. So it just amazes me that then she calls the people that sold me the car, and then they call someplace else, and they send a signal, and all of a sudden the door is open.
Yeah, it's scary. Scary.
I'd be
Why
calling a
But
cab.
287.
No, you can't get there. I said, what am I going to do? Is there a Toys R Us around? There's nothing.
There's nothing on
but the
287.
sign- I guess they don't go by signs in New Jersey.
Have you noticed on 287, though, if you're heading north on it, I don't know if it's the same thing south, you can't make a U-turn after you get a certain distance up. It's like next U-turn 17 miles.
Tappan Zee Bridge.
If you make a
Tappan Zee
mistake,
Bridge, that's right.
you are in deep,
In Jersey,
deep
if
trouble.
you don't get your exit Jersey, you're in Delaware. It's so true. It's like they never made road signs. They never made exits. What exit? You can't find it apparently sometimes. Oh my gosh! So it's good to see you, man. We're all set for next week now. We're doing.
We are. We'll tell everybody what you're doing.
You know, Tim's a friend. This guy's great. He's
I
such
am
a
not.
support. He's such a supporter of
Thank
this
you.
of the Jersey Shore. And we always wanted to
See
work.
how easy the applause is here?
Yeah, no, it's great. Believe
It's
me.
easy.
It ain't always like that. Please, just let it go, okay? I said, you know, Timmy and I always want to do something. So I said, well, this is the time to do it after Sandy and everything. Why don't we get together? So once a month,
here at the McLoon's, Asbury Park, and for all the folks listening on WOR, I will be doing Club Piscopo right here from this stage that we're on now. So we taking the Atlantic City concept, and we're coming right here to McLoon's. Our first opening night is June 6th. I got Joe Muccioli and the Red Bank Jazz Orchestra, and I'll tell you, we're going to right out on the stage the greatest musicians, and we're going to really kick it and have a lot of fun. And then on July 10th, I have to tell you, you have to check these dates and call McLoon's, make the reservations, come on down, have a ball. Jeff Norris, probably the funniest comic working out there today, and I've had the pleasure of working with Jeff Norris for all over, and he's so funny. And we're going to have a comedy night with Jeff Norris, and then on August 14th, you know who I just booked?
No.
I waited to tell you on the air.
Really?
I want to see your surprise, because I know you know these guys. The Accidentals.
Really?
You know those guys?
I do know the
Are they great or
Accidentals.
what?
Oh,
These
that's
guys?
hysterical.
They're great. They're old friends.
They are
They're
the
from
best.
Newark, New Jersey. And they started with a gentleman by the name of Ray Chambers, the guy who works for the UN and has cured malaria, really. But they were a band back in the 1960s, right behind the Four Seasons. Never made it quite like the Four Seasons, but are as good, and they will be on the stage August 14th. So just check McLoon's, come on down, and let's have some fun for the summer down the Jersey Shore. Restore the shore, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, we got some more dates too. September 11th, Joe will be here. October 9th. Just check out the website or give us a call, and we'll be able to give you that
So it'll be a
information.
lot of fun. And I love playing your room, man. I mean, I know.
It's good here, isn't it?
Well, I know that you labored to how to design this room. I know that you thought about it. What is my favorite performing venue? Tim McLoone, I know you. And you said, I want it just nice and intimate. Am I selling this?
Yeah,
No,
oh,
this
you're selling
not
it.
at all.
Go
I
ahead.
think-
But you know
Talk
what?
about the view, Joe. We have a great view. Sunday brunch. Tim likes to get that in.
There's the ocean right there. Occasionally it comes really close, but you know.
You know, this guy, you talked about it. How many feet of sand did you have downstairs?
In this building, we had about 1.5 feet of sand. After
But it was
the
like
storm.
cement.
Yeah, it was just oily and sticky, and we're gonna be finding sand here like 30 years from now. Oh, there's another pile
Kind
in
of
the
like a
corner
bathing
over there
suit. But Governor Christie had lunch here recently?
on Sunday.
Okay, now wait a minute. With the lap thing.
Here
With
we
the lap
go,
thing.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I want to see, what did he have? What did he order? Is he eating fish, broiled, or what? We love our governor.
I have to be careful now.
Yeah, you know, you
'cause I
can't
had
break
lunch with
confidences.
them here. It was more brunchy about 3 weeks ago, and they had, or maybe a month ago, and they hadn't announced that yet.
The lap
and,
band.
and he was eating scrambled eggs. I'm just saying.
That's all right. You know what?
He's been really nice to us. So that's as far as I'm going with this.
Watch me cover the governor. Eggs will get a bad rap. It's actually, eggs aren't bad for you. Not that bad for you, are they? Like that?
No, I thought it was. It
See,
was a
I
good
didn't know it'd
choice.
be. Now look at my son. I hate this look. I hate topsiders.
Keep in mind, by the way, it's
We
a
are on
radio
radio,
show.
but
It's a radio
Say
show.
what now?
It's a radio.
I'm not getting. Did I get bad last time? We had one bleep. One bleep last
There was
time.
one bleep.
There was one bleep.
No, but
it was a good
Top
bleep.
You're doing show and tell.
Without the socks, it looked like a wasp from Essex Feld. You know what I mean? I should have like Banlon. Remember Banlon socks with the Italian shoes? That's what
Banlon shirts too, though. That was big.
Oh God, I remember
Except
that.
they ran. You know, you
I was
get one
brought up
thing
in a
and
town.
right
I was
off
brought up
it.
in a town called Bloomfield, New Jersey. Great town in Essex County, New Jersey. Joe DiVincenzo's area out there. Oh, it's great. And then went up to North Cole from there. But I tell you what, I was like for Bloomfield. I came from Bloomfield, and we would wear. I saw sharkskin suits. You know what I mean? I saw everybody impeccably dressed like Frankie Valli and Joe Pesci, you know? I go up the road, up Bloomfield Avenue. We go up to the Fancy Schmancy, and we talked about this. That's where I first saw Madras. I said, what the heck is Madras, right? White pants. People actually wore white pants, right? Up there, you know? And they were very
Remember
rich
when
people.
I introduced my wife earlier? She's wearing white pants. I'm just saying.
And a Madras shirt.
I'm just saying.
So, and then we got to do something, too, while we're up here, Timmy. We should do some, you know what? Yeah, we should do some Holiday Express coming in, maybe?
Well, we can do that.
Yeah,
We get started right around, well, a little bit before
You
Thanksgiving.
don't do enough dates.
Nah.
Throw another one in the
Our
summertime.
problem, you know, I was thinking about you today that if you had been
Just
paid,
generally thinking
if
about
you,
me?
I do.
Fleeting Joe
I
Piscopo
do.
thought?
I think about you standing on the roadside at 287 with no
Talking
one
to
showing you the
Odstar.
love. No, I was actually thinking that if you had been paid $100 for every charity show you did, you wouldn't be here this evening. You'd be in the Bahamas.
I would still be there.
You'd be at the Cayman Islands.
I am
somewhere.
Joey Benefit. I am Joey Benefit. You got a charity, I got a tuxedo.
Right.
Like, you know, I come early, I stay late. I'm the guy. But you're right there with me. You
That's the
can't
sad
say
part
no.
for both of us.
Last night, I was with my friend. I did my priest friend's 25th ordination anniversary the week before. I did my friend, my Jewish buddy, Rabbi Eli. I did Chabad of Hunterdon County, or as we say, Chabad of Hunterdon County. And So I'm always, and I can't say no to these things. I don't know what it is, you know. So
By the way, you're saying that reminds me that my son's favorite food is at the Arena Diner. Do you know where the Arena? I think it's Hackensack. Yeah, it's Hackensack.
It's a Jersey
and
guy.
they make French toast out of challah bread.
Yo, that's the best.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the best. It
My
is.
son Jack just sits there and goes, oh.
How old is he now?
He's 15 now.
Wow.
He's doing great.
And my son's 67 and retired. Who knew? I tell you, it's like, I'm getting so old. That's why I keep having children, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I think there's one in the crowd tonight. I'm not sure. As we say, and as you'll hear me on stage, I have a child at every exit in New Jersey, and I'm very proud. Thank you very much. I want to be the Anthony Quinn. Remember Anthony Quinn? He was like 78, and he had a little baby. I love that guy. I love that whole spirit. Jerry Lewis, and Charlie Chaplin as well. Didn't Charlie Chaplin was in his...
Yep.
When you say Anthony Quinn, makes me think of Sands of Iwo Jima. Remember
Yeah,
that movie?
yeah, absolutely.
And he's running down the
Not
beach.
that we're dating ourselves at all.
No, it was black and white, and he was a fairly new actor at the time. And you always know you're going to get killed in a movie if you laugh during a war scene. You know he's going to get it in a moment. He's like, oh, that's a funny thing. Gets the knife in the back.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Oh,
terrible.
man. And you know what? And also I want to tell everybody we did, speaking of movies, How Sweet It Is came out, and now you can check it on video on demand. This is a very cute little film that I did. Brian Herslinger, who did
Right.
My Date with Drew and did Baby on Board. Michael Pare, Paul Sorvino's in this film. You got to check it out. You'll see it. You'll see it online. You'll be able to pick it up, video on demand. It worked out very, very well.
What's it called again?
How Sweet It Is.
Sweet It
How
Is.
Sweet It Is. It's kind of a cross between Glee and Chicago. I play a down and out director, and we got to see it. I saw it on the big screen. It was pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
You've
you
been
know?
in a lot of movies.
No, but I'm a live guy. I love working. I love working live. And I never forget when I went and they put me in Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton.
Right.
So I remember going on the set of Warner Brothers, and Army Archer, you know, the famous journalist of the day, says to me, "Hey, how about this, huh? Clark Gable was there. Hey, how about that? Betty Grable was there." And I'm going, "Nah, I thought where Milton Berle was, Johnny Carson." You know, I didn't get it then because I was more television oriented and more. But now when we did this one film, I see the power of movies. So we're going to try to do more. It's a lot of fun.
But I would think it is difficult for someone like you who's used to live audiences
Yeah.
to do a movie because it's start and stop. You know, Paul's
We
an
do
actor
this
too.
film. If you
I
ch-
just go to movies, by the way, the two of you actually do them. I go and I'm the reason you do it. I sit there and watch you.
But you know what? I do the live stuff, and when we're live and we have a lot of fun, and you do the impressions and have fun. But when you do the films, and this director was a young director, he goes, I want you like here, put like pointing like his fingers together, really small.
Again, radio, Joe.
I know that's what I said here. I said I was going to make the finger reference, the thumb and the index finger. I'm doing a little thing with my finger, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait till you see what he does in mime a little bit from that. It's fantastic.
Mime radio.
Here's
So
the
it was
running
good,
man.
But I played it nice and small. And against Paul Sorvino, that was daunting because Sorvino's a great actor and he's very imposing as an actor. You know, so I was a little scared.
I hate to say, how old is he now? Do you know?
But no, he's not that old. He's 60, late 60, something
Probably
like
late
that.
No, that's
60s.
not old at all.
No,
No.
I know. The older I get,
You
man.
know, we were talking about it earlier. You ever notice when somebody says to you, you're referencing something that happened in the past, and you said, about 7 years ago, and then you realize it was about 17 years ago. It's like,
Oh man.
it happens all the time.
So you sound good on the radio, by the way.
I do?
I only listen when I'm on. So on your show. So I said, let me
Well, then
listen
you
to
don't
Tim.
hear much of me.
It's on. When is it on? Saturday night. It's on
Saturday night.
Saturday at
Yep.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock. So my mother loved it. That's all that counts. By
That
the way.
is all that counts.
Mama Piscopo loved it. But you are a good radio personality.
All right.
Am I right?
My kids are
Absolutely.
horrified
I mean,
by this.
He won't listen to the show, actually. I listen
I don't
to the show.
listen.
No, you
but he
don't
won't.
listen. I
I
like to
don't
watch.
listen.
Yeah, I like to watch myself.
Well, I've always thought, now, how are you about that? Because I don't like listening to anything that I do, partly because I've got good reason not to want to listen. But no, if I have a good feeling about it, I don't want it to be ruined. In a sense, you hear yourself, and all you hear is mistakes. And I also don't want to second guess myself. And if I say, God, I sound funny doing that, then I'm doomed.
But you sound good, because you got to keep it going, and you got to have a quirky kind of take on it, and you're exactly that. And it's good, and your voice is great on it. And
That's
I
funny.
like
I have
it.
no
And
idea
I'll
what
tell
to ask
if,
you next.
If you weren't, if you weren't good, I wouldn't even bring it up. But it's actually pretty good. And WOR is like this big giant, 50,000 watts.
Yeah.
Don't get nervous. It's like all over.
Hey, do you want to do a Sinatra song?
No sir.
No singing
Yeah,
today?
sure. It'll cost you a lot of money in residuals. What do you got?
I've got you under my skin.
No, you know what I did when we did. What key? B flat.
The only one I know how to play it in.
So we did a Showtime special a year ago, and I wanted to do the old man. I want to do Frank Sinatra.
Right.
Got to do Frank Sinatra. So I wanted to do all the Frank Sinatra stuff, Under My Skin and stuff like that. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't own the rights. The family doesn't own the rights. Warner Chappell or some big corporate conglomerate owns the rights. It would have cost, if I wanted to do the Sinatra tunes, like $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
You can't believe I have a Johnny Cash thing I do in the show, which we'll do on June 6th here. But yeah, it costs so much money. So I did Frank Sinatra Sings Public Domain. Is that great? So it was like,
Oh, Susanna, was that one?
you see?
You never did that on SNL?
Old MacDonald had a farm,
That's it.
E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had a chick swinging to and fro with a wiggle wiggle here and a wiggle wiggle there. Man, that chick, she had curves everywhere. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Swinging, baby.
Joe Piscopo, everybody. Thanks so much for being here, Joseph. We look forward to your show right here at
Check out
McLoone Supper
McLoone's
Club.
Asbury Park. It's all about Restore the Shore, and we'll see you June 6th. We open
Yes,
up.
you will. Okay, that's great.
Love
Thanks
you,
so
Timmy.
much for being
Good
here,
to see
Joe.
you guys. Thanks. Love you guys. Take care. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Tim McLoone Radio Show from Tim McLoone
Got the
Supper
key,
Club
too, man.
in Asbury Park, New Jersey. We will be right back after this. Joe Piscopo, everyone. I just want to mention that this portion of the Tim McLoone Radio Show is brought to you by My Jovi. My Jovi is a new sponsor of ours. My Jovi is a power coffee. It's a new refreshing coffee beverage served cold over ice or right out of the can. My Jovi can be enjoyed as an after-dinner drink or as a mixer with premium alcohols, rum, vodka, scotch, and for anyone on the go.
Whatever.
Remember, yeah, whatever. Also, My Jovi is the first drink at last call. It's a coffee drink. It's got some caffeine in it, so it's good stuff. You can enjoy My Jovi at any of McLoon's restaurants. Just ask for it by name.
I thought you said we were sponsored by Bon Jovi for a
No,
second.
no,
I was
no.
gonna say,
My Jovi.
When did that happen?
Great coffee beverage. Yeah.
My Jovi. I do, in a moment of self-aggrandizement here, just tell everybody that's listening, I'll be here tonight. With the Shirleys, and we'll be playing at the Supper Club tonight.
All right.
And like that. So our next guest is Bob Davison. Bob, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be here, Tim.
Welcome, Bob.
This is something that is very important to us. He's the executive director of the Montclair, New Jersey-based Mental Health Association of Essex County. I honestly, we do a thing called Holiday Express, and
Which I've heard about, and I've heard nothing but wonderful things.
well, it was interesting where it took us, because we started this thing 20 years ago, and the idea was to bring a holiday party to people who, if we weren't there, would have little or no attention at holiday time. So it meant we weren't going to go to schools and sort of traditional places, and we started finding our way, and where we really found our way to was with the people with whom you work, to people who, and there are no euphemisms I could possibly come up with right now to cover the entire panoply of people that you deal with, but just basically people with mental issues. And I just wondered, so how did you personally get started
well, let me ask
working
you,
in that with that population?
when you went around with the Holiday Express, where did you go? Did you go to the psychiatric hospitals?
Yep,
The state
we went
psychiatric
to
hospitals?
Ancora and all the ones, North Jersey Developmental and
Well, let me
Woodbine.
let me tell you how important that work is. At the state psychiatric hospitals, 90% of the patients get no visitors.
Right.
So the fact that you took the effort to go there was very meaningful to them. So
It was
I
meaningful.
thank you.
It was meaningful for us too, because I can remember the first time we went to a place called New Lisbon, and that was the first long-range residential psychiatric hospital we went to. And here we are bringing this happy show,
Right.
And it's all about Santa Claus and stuff. We're not selling anything. At any rate, we were overwhelmed. Up until then, we'd been playing in very benign places who liked what we did, but they were not much of a challenge to us. Now we get into really a population with which you work, but full-fledged, all-out, terrible personal hygiene, people wearing helmets, people in adult diapers, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Just difficult situations.
And what are we doing? We're stimulating them, right? You know, but it ended up being fine. But the woman that ran it, Claudette Keegan, who just retired this year, actually, I went up to Claudette after it was over, and I said to her, and I wouldn't say I was scared. It wasn't that. It was just more, I felt like we didn't understand where we were. We weren't the right thing. We needed to be educated about what this audience was going to be like. So I went up to Claudette when it was over, and I said, listen, I didn't understand your population. You know, when we come back here next year, and, you know, I'd like you to speak to everyone and explain it to us. And as I say this, she bursts into tears. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, nobody ever comes back here next year. You know? And now we've been there, I think, about 15 years in a row. And what was first kind of, no, stop. This is the easiest order. You say anything to them and they applaud you, you know? It's great. I'm not used to that, actually. I'm used to people saying, valet park, can I have my car, please? What we found going there is that we got so used to it that they became kind of our people, you know, our peeps. And I find myself when I'm on, like, say, the boardwalk right here in Asbury or Long Branch, whatever, and I see someone who would be in that population, I'm inclined to go over and say hello. It's the funniest thing, isn't it? You know.
Well, I think similar to you, Tim, I've always gotten far more out of the work than I've given to people.
Yeah.
You know, the work that I've done benefits me, and the fact that I can help other people is just wonderful. But you originally asked me how I got into the field.
Yeah.
I went to Seton Hall University because I didn't want to get a job. True story. I went to college, and I was a religious studies major. Had no interest in being a priest, but I was always interested in world religions.
Really?
And then halfway through that, I realized I couldn't make a living, and I liked psychology, so I became a psychology major. And after that, I got a job in the field as a residential counselor with the mostly disturbed adolescents. And one thing led to another, and I found I really enjoyed the work. And what really attracted me was the fact that there's a lot of stigma with mental health.
Of course.
People don't realize that 1 in 5 of us on any given day can have a mental health disorder. Depression, anxiety, and addiction. They just don't realize that mental illnesses are real and recovery is possible. And furthermore, 1 in 17 of us, which is a big number, suffer from a severe and persistent mental illness, something like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression with psychotic
1 in
features.
17.
1 in 17.
That's a very high number.
And those were the folks you were seeing in the state psychiatric hospital. And the shame of that is, even for the 1 in 17, if they were to get involved in treatment, the recovery rates are much higher. And because of the stigma, people often avoid treatment, which is why I'm happy to be here, just to talk about it publicly.
When I speak at some public things, I do talk about, you know, mental health a lot. And I try to point out that I believe the same thing could be said for everyone in this audience right here at Tim McLoone Supper Club, which is open 7 days and nights and does have a lovely Sunday brunch.
You just had to do it.
That everyone here has someone in their life
There's no question.
right now who is affected one way or the other by this, you know. Have you seen a change in treatment options for people in the last, say, 10 years or so? Or
I would say in the last 20...
Are we getting anywhere is I guess what I'm getting
at. I think we are getting somewhere. I think in the last 25 years, there's been remarkable treatment advances in regards to medications, in regards to the medical aspect of it, the psychiatry aspect of it. There's also been major advances in regards to the social work aspect of it, providing housing, jobs, day programs. And I think things have, while we still have a long way to go, I think things have improved dramatically in the last 25 years.
I think it's interesting that when I do speak to the people that we see at these shows, and you know, we'll speak to a lot of them, but generally speaking, the dream is a group home. That's their dream when we go to Trenton Psychiatric Hospital.
Sure.
To get into a group home is their dream.
People want to move out and have their own place.
Yeah.
Have their own bed, have a refrigerator, have a television, perhaps have a job, and have some recreational activities. Really no different than you and I.
Yeah. But if you think about it, on the one hand, the state seems to be moving towards shutting down some of these facilities. And it sounds cold-hearted. I'd rather hear from you what you think about that, because it's, you know, you read it in the paper and Greystone may close and whatever. Well, What's your take on this?
I'm of two minds. First,
I barely have one, so you're a very lucky man.
You know, first the current governor, Governor Christie, relative to what's going on nationally after the recession, has been very good to mental health. There's no two ways about it. He has really held firm on the funding for mental health. Having said that, though, his decision to close Hagedorn Psychiatric Hospital was absurd.
Of all of them, Hagedorn.
It was absurd.
The sweetest place.
It was a
It's for
geriatric hospital.
It's geriatrics who, are really reaching the end of their lives, and they're living in a very...
So on that score, I just think he got bad advice and made a
Yeah.
bad decision.
Because, former governor and occasional Governor Cody has certainly been very public about his own wife's issues.
Absolutely, yeah.
And his support. And of course, when he's a Democrat and there's a Republican, you wonder about whether, all these very, very vulnerable people get caught in the crosshairs of a political fight. Has the funding available changed? I mean, you just said that Governor Christie's pretty much kept it solid, but
He's held firm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you think? What would be your dream if you could say, wave the magic wand? What would happen that would improve the lives of these people?
If I could wave the magic wand, there'd be more supportive housing, which is similar to group homes. It's just a different term of art. There'd be more supportive housing options. There'd be more hospital beds. While the vast majority of people who suffer from severe and persistent mental illness can recover and live in the community and indeed thrive in the community, there are those among us that are so impaired they need a hospital. They need an intermediate or long-term hospital, and we're not providing enough of those beds. So the two things I would improve is more supportive housing beds in the community and more inpatient beds for those among us that are so impaired that that's what they need.
When you mentioned in the community, and we're speaking with Bob Davison, who's the executive director of the Montclair, New Jersey-based Mental Health Association of Essex County.
Thank you.
A lot of words. Bob, when you mentioned that, though, is there any improvement at all with the proverbial not in my backyard? Where do you put this housing? I mean, because that was one of the things that contributed, and we'd be less than honest if we didn't say it, to the downfall at the time of Asbury Park. When they started taking, for the money, they started taking all these patients who were not well looked after.
That was a travesty.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that. The state psychiatric hospital system dumped people in boarding homes unsupervised at Asbury Park.
Exactly.
That was a lose, lose, lose. It was a loss for the community, it was a loss for the families, and most importantly, it was a loss for the patients.
Yeah. But do you think that the attitude of, I don't know, of local communities has changed at all? Are they at all more willing to accept people into their community?
I think, in general, the stigma concerning mental illness has alleviated somewhat during the course of my career. But having said that, when you try to cite a residence, it's very problematic. About 2 years ago, we went before the Montclair Zoning Board for a variance, and I had to testify on behalf of the Mental Health Association of Essex County to develop 12 units of supportive housing. I got my head handed to me for 7 meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, the residents came out in force. They didn't give us the variance. We had to sue the community, and we won an appeal. So it's still out there, not in my backyard. It's really better said, not on planet Earth, is the reaction that we get sometime. And you know what? That's unfortunate because the vast majority of individuals who suffer from mental illness are not violent. They're no more violent than the general population.
And do you feel that they are adequately screened before they are placed into a community? Because that's what people are going to say. Because I think the national debate about gun control and all the rest of it, which I don't know if that's helping or hurting what you do for a living.
Whenever you see one of these typically young men that happen to be mentally ill commit an act of violence, the common denominator is they're not in treatment. When someone's in a supportive housing setting, they're in treatment.
Yeah.
That's where you want them. And if someone who suffers from schizophrenia is in treatment, their prevalence of violence goes way down.
It seems to me that most of the people I've met through Holiday Express, they're more in danger than the danger they cause.
People who suffer from severe and persistent mental illness are 7 times more likely to be a victim of a crime than to commit a crime.
Yeah. Well, I hope that your being here, Bob, helps even just a little bit to open people's eyes. That I think we just need to be more welcoming to all citizens, all people. We're just people. Everybody's fighting their own fight and trying to get ahead. And I just think it's so difficult for all of you in the mental health field. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I think the level of frustration has to be really difficult, and then to see all this opposition from people who should be your advocates and are fighting you instead.
Well, you just take it one day at a time and do the best that you can, and I really enjoy the work, and I've enjoyed being here. The dinner was excellent, by the way.
Well, the check will be arriving in a few minutes. But, thank you so much, Bob Davison.
Joe will pick it up.
Joe Gervasi, my grammar school friend, will pick up that check.
This portion of the Tim McLoone Radio Show is brought to you by My Jovi, the power coffee, the refreshing coffee beverage served cold and over ice or out of the can. My Jovi can be enjoyed as an after-dinner drink. Ask for it at McLoon's by name. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. You're listening to the Tim McLoone Radio Show. This portion of the Tim McLoone Radio Show is brought to you by Batch 19, a fine craft beer from 10th and Blake Beer Company. Passionate brewers and merchants of the world's finest specialty beers. Batch 19. Ask for it wherever fine craft beers are poured. And now, here's your host, Tim McLoone.
That would be me. Hi. Well, this is the frightening segment of the show where we allow people who we've never met to get a live microphone and say whatever the heck they want to say. But come on up. And what is your name?
My name is Glenda Grill.
Hello, Glenda. And where are you from?
I'm from Long Branch.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah.
We
We're
probably
neighbors.
passed each other somewhere on the line. So what would you like to know? It's nothing about states and capitals or anything like that, right? All right.
Actually, it's about another WOR radio personality that I have loved forever, Joan Hamburg.
It's not about me.
Well, it is.
No, I'm kidding. We all love Joan Hamburg.
Joan's a
Yeah.
delight.
She's like
Had her on the
Auntie
show.
Joan.
Yeah.
But I know that you have been together here,
Yep.
having your radio shows, and I wanted to know, where did your relationship start with Joan Hamburg?
Well, that's a great question, actually, because first it was a very one-way relationship. I was a listener. And you know, it's a funny thing we've always said about Joan. I could be out literally running on the road, and a truck driver will come by and say, "Hey, I heard you on Joan the other day."
Right.
I'm like, "You heard me on Joan?" But she did a show from, I'm trying to think, I guess Pier Village.
Pier Village was
when
the
we
first
opened up there. That was the first one, right,
Yep,
Paul?
that's
And
what-
she did a live show, and they invited me on as a guest. And we kind of hit it off, you know. I thought it was the cutest thing, you know. She would have people such as yourself come up and ask a question, but their questions are like, Joan, my in-laws are coming in from Wisconsin, and we want to take them to a cute little bistro down in the, you know, it's like, I know nothing about that stuff. But we sort of became friends, you know. I mean, how can you not admire that woman? And she, you know, she had some health issues fairly recently, but she's back full strength and doing great. And she should stay on radio as long as she wants to. Thanks, Glenda. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right, what else do we have there, Paul?
I have a couple of questions that were handwritten
Oh,
from
great.
the audience. But I got to say, one of them's incredibly insulting. It's very funny, Tim.
Oh, good.
You might like this. Not toward you.
Oh.
Tim, would you ever consider a radio sidekick, i.e. Howard Stern and Robin? If so, I'll volunteer.
So we're
What
getting
am
rid
I
of you?
doing here?
Time for Paul to move on. You know, speaking of Joan Hamburg, though, when we did our first show with her, she was my first guest, actually. Very
Oh, remember
nicely.
that she wanted
and
to interview
she wanted to steal you away right there. I'd love to have an announcer, Tim. Can I have Paul? But so they want to throw you out just like that. That's great.
Right under the bus, Tim.
That's horrible. I think they want the bus to back over you several times also, and then take you away.
All right, I have another one. This is from Charlie and Marianne. It says, Tim, who is the most musically influential person that you have ever met?
Oh, I had to meet them, because if it had just been the most influential person for me musically, was flat out Ray Charles. Ray Charles, from the moment I started listening to music, and I hate to say this because I wish I played better, but my piano playing is absolutely all about Ray Charles. I was trying like mad to find a way to get that gospel, R&B, rock and roll, country thing going, you know, and I think I have a little bit of it, but it was Ray Charles. But of the people I've met, I have to tell you that the last show that was in this building, in the supper club that I mentioned earlier, is
Oh,
open
yeah, I know
7
who it
days
was.
and nights in Asbury Park. The
Excellent Sunday
was
brunch.
Benny King. Benny King was here, and the last song that was played before Sandy was Stand By Me. And I got to play piano behind Benny King doing Stand By Me. And so I have to say that, I mean, I've gotten to play, with a lot of really great people, Bruce and all this stuff, but playing that evening with Benny King, who owns the catalog for stuff like This Magic Moment, and the one that really got us that night was Spanish Harlem, which is a pretty simple song. There is a rose in Spanish Harlem. Well, when he was doing it, I could barely play the piano. I was swooning and crying and the whole deal. So I'd have to say Benny King as far as people I've played with.
When we had Gary on last week, it was a real treat to sit next to him, or a couple weeks ago, to sit next to him while he was singing.
Gary Bonds, you're talking about Gary U.S. Bonds, yeah. Well, he insulted me with the picture in the book, so I'm not mentioning him. And I better mention Darlene Love, or else she's not coming back here.
Yeah.
Do we have one more?
I do. I have another one here. This one's kind of loaded.
Oh, great.
Of all the meals you have eaten at McLoone's restaurants, food-wise, what dish was it you loved the most? And here's where the pressure comes from. Which chef cooked it?
Oh, jeez. Well, the late lamented Rum Runner, and people ask us all the time what we're going to do about the Rum Runner in Seabright. And I have to say right now, we are absolutely leaning towards building a brand new building there. I think that's what's going to happen. We really don't. Well, if you'd like to give me some money, that would be the applause. I don't know. But I really don't want to leave Seabright, and we're going to try and work this out that we can put a new building up. But I think about that building. My wife and I, our favorite meal there was the beef tenderloin that came out with sun-dried tomatoes on top of it, and it was on garlic parmesan mashed potatoes. Oh, man. And
Was that Neil was there at the time?
Neil did the chefing on that. It passed on through several chefs through the years. But I have to say, Joe Rassiopi, who's our executive chef up in Pier Village at the Pier House, he made me an Italian dish one night, not that long ago, was when he first started. Right. I think I talked about this on the air before.
With the oil,
Remember, with the oil? And it was the greatest Italian meal I'd ever had in my life. And I went right back in the kitchen. I said, how much olive oil did you put in that thing? It was the greatest. Oh, man. Joe Rassiopi.
Yep.
All right. So every week I do a song. Is that no more questions?
That's all the questions.
Anything from anybody that I owe money to? Nothing came up tonight.
No,
all right.
That's
I do a song each week, and so far I've been doing other people's material, and I thought tonight I would do a song that I wrote back in the 80s, and that's, by the way, the 1980s, for any of you questioning me about this. And it's interesting because my family is from Ireland, and they lived near the water. My my grandparents, my grandfather worked on the docks in Ireland, and then back in Brooklyn when he came here. My dad was a dock worker.
Donegal, your family was from?
Donegal, they were from. And I always felt myself pulled to the water. And as I've said before, I don't really interact with the water much. But I'll go in swimming if it's like 70-something degrees. But, it's just something that I find calming, and I've been pulled towards it. We live on the river. Our restaurants are mostly on waters. And I wrote this song looking really at the Shrewsbury River, of all things. And the song really speaks about relationships and how somebody can be your anchor, but you're not sure you can be each other's anchor at the same time. You haven't discovered each other at the same time, and it's sort of about unrequited love, but he was a dreamer. He walked alone. He dreamed of kings and queens, but always on his own. He was her future, she was his past. And if they talked of love, they thought it couldn't last. 'Cause he could sail across the ocean, and he could fly the skies of blue, and he could wander all around this world wherever he would roam, but she would always be his home. In sparkling mornings or star-filled nights, he feared a life of depths. She took him to the heights. But now he's drifting. She's gone away. And if they talked of love, He knew they couldn't stay, 'cause he could sail across the ocean, and he could fly the skies of blue, and he could wander all around this world wherever he would roam, but she would always be his home. And he could sail across the ocean, and he could fly the skies of blue, and he could wander all around this world wherever he would roam, but she would be his home. His home, his home.
Yep, we're gonna.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Tim, I want to thank Joe Piscopo for being here with us today. Also, Bob Davison for being with us here today. That was great. I want to let everybody know that Club Piscopo is going to be here at Tim McLoone Supper Club. Club Piscopo at McLoon's. So he's going to be doing some shows. The dates are July 10th, August 14th, September 11th, and October 9th. And then tonight, Tim McLoone and the Jerseys will be playing here.
I better get changed.
Park. Yeah, you better get changed quick. On Friday, June the 14th, Gary U.S. Bonds will be here at the Supper Club. I also wanted to tell everybody that the radio show over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some cool guests. Jack Ford, the CBS legal analyst, will be coming on with us, and then we have the cast members of You've Got Hate Mail, which is a really funny play by Billy Van Zandt and Jane Milmore. They're going to come out and talk about their show, and we're going to have some laughs with them. So thanks again,
Billy
everyone.
Van Zandt is Stephen Van Zandt's
Billy Van
brother.
Zandt, Stephen Van Zandt's brother. Yeah,
He always likes being introduced that way too.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in today and sharing this hour with us. Tune in every Saturday afternoon from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. right here on WOR, 710 a.m. and on iHeartRadio. You can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Tim McLoone Radio. The accounts and descriptions of this broadcast are the property of McLoone Broadcasting.
We own them.
The retransmission or rebroadcast of any part of Tim McLoone Radio Show without the express written consent of McLoone Broadcasting is strictly prohibited. This show is produced by TME. The coordinating producer is Virginia Sanderson. The technical director and associate producer is Dana Noto. Our sound engineers are Tony Lasardo and Thomas Bishop. And for Tim McLoone, I am Paul Diamede, and we will see you next week.
Yes, you are, Paul
on
Diamede.
the radio.
All right, thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.